for the 27th Congressional District, this is the seat now held by Ileana Ros-Lehtinen, is pitting former University of Miami President Donna Shalala against a political newcomer. Shalala is the Democrat in the race.
The Republican is Maria Elvira Salazar, a veteran Spanish-language television journalist making her first run for public office. Salazar defeated 7 challengers, including veteran Miami-Dade County Commissioner Bruno Barrero in the Republican primary on August 28th.
And joining us in the studio is Maria Elvira Salazar. Thank you very much for being
wonderful,
here.
Wonderful for having me. Thank you very much.
Congratulations on your primary victory.
Well, thanks the voters.
Okay.
They were the one who gave it to me.
Now you have, I've known you for a long time.
30 years.
We've known each
been
other for a long
reporting,
time.
yeah, for a long time.
You have been a fixture in Spanish language television in Miami. You're a devoted journalist, a tenacious interviewer. You're well known by Spanish language viewers, but English language viewers don't know you so much. And
well, they're gonna get to know me now.
That's why you're here. They're asking, who is this lady who now wants to replace Ileana Ros-Lehtinen, who's been there so long? And how is she qualified to be in Congress? And how do you answer that question?
Well, I answer the question that I am part of this community. We're the ultimate melting pot. I went to school with the Americans, or the whites, with the blacks, with the Jews, with the Cubans. And then after that, with the Colombians and the Central Americans. You know, everybody escapes and comes to Miami. So I am a product of this beautiful and ultimate melting pot. And I feel that I am ready because I know the topics, and knowing the topics is half of the battle. As you said, I covered what was important for this community for 35 years on Spanish television, but we were covering the whole community.
But isn't there a difference between being a journalist asking questions and actually being a lawmaker? Well,
yeah, but if you know, as I said, knowing the topics is half of the battle. I asked very tough questions. I understood the topics, and I understood and I gave very good analysis. I think that's why the viewers turn into voters. And I believe that I am totally and completely ready to go to Washington and ask tough questions.
All right. So, but because you are basically a clean slate as a political newcomer, people know you from your journalism, but from a political point of view, we want to get to know you on where you stand on the issues.
Please.
Timeliness right now, as Brett Kavanaugh goes before his Senate confirmation hearings, one of the topics that's been brought up is Roe versus Wade and where he would stand as a justice on that particular issue. So where do you stand on abortion?
But he said it. It's settled law. He said it the other day, and I'm sure that you guys remember. It's settled law, and I believe that he is a person that will follow and interpret the Constitution the way it needs to be. I don't think he's a radical. I don't think he's an extremist. But what we're seeing right now in this hearing, it shows you. I think you were saying a few minutes ago, is saying the division that we have in this country. That 50% does not trust or believe in the other 50%, and that's why we need people like me to step into the center. New blood, full of stamina, full of energy, at my prime, to step into the center.
Another issue,
Tell me.
Obamacare. Would you like to see Obamacare repealed and replaced?
Listen, what we had before was no good, Obamacare. What we have now is not good either. We need to find another way.
Well, what is that other way?
Well, that's a very good question. I think that we should allow the forces of capitalism to go into the healthcare industry, because we know that the big insurance companies are the ones making the billions and billions of dollars. So why don't we allow for healthcare to be sold across state lines? Why don't we allow for Publix, for instance, to be able to buy one insurance plan for all its employees in Alabama, Oklahoma, Oregon? I'm just giving an example, but across state lines. I think capitalism doesn't solve everything, Elliot, but it's a lot better than socialism.
Okay. In just the last few days, we have seen the book Fear by Bob Woodward, very critical of the Trump White House right now. Today, from a senior administration official, an op-ed, an anonymous op-ed in the New York Times, challenging what is going on in the White House right now. So we must ask you, did you vote for Donald Trump, and how do you feel he's doing right now?
I'm going to answer at the end. Let me just give you this sound bite. The problem we have with the president, I believe, is that you have to see what he does and not what he says. Trump is a special person. We know that he is completely unconventional. But we are at the crossroads right now in this country, and I think this is where the voters will decide in November. Either we continue the economic growth, the 4.1% that he has established with his economic policies, where you have very little employment for Hispanics, very little unemployment, or low unemployment for Hispanics, for blacks, where people are making more money, where people are getting bonuses, where the stock market is going up and your 401k is doing very well. Do that, or vote for the Democrat, that unfortunately that party has been hijacked by the extreme left. The extreme left of socialist Bernie Sanders, the extreme left of Ocasio-Cortez, and this lady that just won last night in Massachusetts. The voters need to decide. And I'm offering an option to stay in the middle and to continue the economic policies and to know that your pocket will not be hurt for the next 2 years. And if you do not like him, we have an election 2 years from now. And, you know, that's the beauty of the American system, which we love.
In this congressional district, the voters will decide between yourself and Donna Shalala,
correct,
who has a track record, who was a cabinet member, who was a president of the University of Miami, who has experience, and her supporters say she's ready on day one.
But
How do you
know what? The experience
she
has is not the experience that district number 27 has. I'm going to tell you why. Because district 27, which is my community, needs people with real life experiences. Shalala proved who she is in many occasions, but I'm going to point out two. The janitors. How could you be messing with the janitors? The janitors are the ones that keep cleaning your toilets and are throwing your garbage away.
Ones at the University of Miami.
At the University of Miami, and she sided with the corporation that was hiring the janitors. If I would have been in her shoes, I would have picked up the phone and say, hey, Mr. Contractor for the janitors, why don't you try to consider the possibility of maybe giving them a little bit more money? Wouldn't you have done that? I mean, these are the people that were cleaning your toilets. She didn't do it. Clinton Foundation. She was the president of the Clinton Foundation at a time when Secretary of State was exchanging favors for money. And right there, the empirical evidence is right there. At the first term of of Secretary of State Clinton in office, she had 145 meetings out of 85 were people that had given checks. So if I would have been the president of the Clinton Foundation, I would have denounced that, because this city is full of people that were escaping exactly that. Right? You know, Colombia, Venezuela, Cuba, Honduras, politicians exchanging money for access.
Elvira, you've never been shy about expressing yourself.
I'd like to see a
you're
debate.
Certainly doing it now.
Whatever, we're ready. And the voters, you know, but the beauty of this is that we are in the United States of America. People can vote and do whatever thing they want to, and they can vote their conscience. And like I said, we're at crossroads. They'll decide if we continue with the economic policies or we go to socialism.
Elvira, thank you very much.
And Donna, thank you.